6 o'clock, please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chasm,
Here.
Lehman,
Here.
Underwood,
Here.
Gilman,
Present.
Horn.
Okay, we have quorum. Next item, approval of agenda. Does any member of the board wish to add any items on the agenda? I don't see any blue sheets here, so I don't believe.
I would
that
move we approve the agenda as it is presented.
Support. Motion by Gilman, support by Horn to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Does any member of the board have any conflict of interest regarding any item on the agenda? Seeing none, I will open it up to public comment. Is there anyone in the room that wishes to make a public comment at this time? None?
I do have a Brian Kelly, so let me allow him to talk real quick.
Well, if you wish to speak, Phil will need to read the rules first.
All right, do you want me to just,
Ask him, yes, please.
hi, Brian, would you like to talk during this public comment?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay,
All right,
if
just
you
one
could
moment.
please hold.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. Following applies to public comments. Please state your name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Turned it up.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Mr. Kelly, if you could please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Sure. My name is Brian Kelly, and I'm an Acme Township resident. Thank you for recognizing, Mr. Chairman. I'm speaking to you this evening on the agenda item regarding Drain Commissioner Mr. Smits. And I did send some correspondence quite late today regarding that with some photos and some concerns. I hope maybe some of you had a chance to look at it. My concern is simply the easements in question are described in Mr. Smits' memo as intended to accommodate road flows and not private stormwater or private water flows. And as I outlined in my correspondence, there are some issues right now on Mount Hope Road with flows that are coming from private properties, both onto Mount Hope Road and into the county basin at the corner of Mount Hope and US 31. And as they often are, those flows are rather complicated, flowing across multiple properties. And my concern as a citizen of Acme is mainly the future as Mount Hope Road gets fully developed and the stormwater situation becomes even more challenging. I just want to make sure that we'll ultimately have the ability at the county level to create drainage districts as appropriate to handle those issues. And I know you have a couple of options on the agenda tonight in Mr. Smits' memo. And that's really my long-term concern here is I think that as this gets built out, the stormwater picture is going to be worse. And, you know, I know we all want to protect the water quality going into the bay. And that's ultimately what this is about. And I appreciate your effort and diligence in looking into this. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no one else on Zoom, then at this time I will close public comment. Next item is the action item appointment. We have Andy Smits, our County Drain Commissioner, regarding a presentation on Mount Hope Road drainage issue. Welcome, Mr. Drain Commissioner. We have allocated 20 minutes for your presentation. Phil will give a 3-minute warning so that you could start wrapping up, and then we'll call time. So with that, please go ahead.
Well, thank you for the appointment. Thank you for your service to our county and our region. Thank you for the heads up on the time limitation. I hope to use less than 50% of that. Very, I tried to brief in the memorandum associated with the invitation request. And certainly I was benefit of having time with Road Commission staff earlier this week to review the items that were submitted in August for discussion and hopefully some deliberation, question, answer. And I understand that new Road Commission land surveyor might have been able to go out and scout the area between our meeting on Tuesday and this evening. That's all hope. But be that as it may, have provided a little bit more information and content in the presentation to brief you on the issue that I'd like board attention to and staff discussion on. What you have on the screen right now is a topographic map outlining Mount Hope Road in Acme. On the image on the right is a shaded relief map that speaks to the topography probably a little bit more clearly than the image on the left. You can see the Acme Creek watershed to the north and a little bit showing relief to the east of Mount Hope Road behind developments that are shown more clearly on the image on the left where you see building outlines. Quick digression and back to material that I'd like to review from the May appointment that I had here. This is an example of a drain. I wanted to give a little bit of digression to review what a drain is. A drain has a drainage district boundary associated with it. That boundary is a legal description that essentially includes the beneficiary of the drainage district, those who benefit from drainage services. It includes properties, and of course, properties have owners. Also includes drains. These are curvilinear assets. They can be open or closed conduits, but they have points of beginning and points of end. They are surveyable, and they have easements associated with them that allow a drainage district's agents, the drain commissioner and contractors to access these assets for the purpose of maintenance. This is the Cass Road drain. The sort of tan shaded area is the original drainage district, and the green area is the expanded district that occurred from Road Commission petition in October of 2020. This is quite different. This is presented again in the May presentation as an introduction, but this is the Acme Town Center drainage easements aligned along the route of Mount Hope Road. And as was presented in the memorandum and briefing materials, these are associated with the road, granted to the drain commissioner in exchange or in conjunction with a soil erosion permit that allowed the private property owner back in 1995 to construct the road. Soil erosion permit was required because greater than 1 acre was disturbed, and it was within 500 feet of waters of the state, two triggering requirements under Part 91 of NREPA. The 100-foot right-of-way descriptor in the center of the figure shows the unusual amount of right-of-way granted. This road was adopted by the Road Commission back in December of 1994, I believe. Correspondence that I provided previously from the engineer of record for the road design and construction identifies these are created solely to accommodate runoff from the road. This is just the same figure with alphanumeric information embedded on it in an aerial photograph. The numbered properties are give the property tax IDs. Obviously, some subdivision has occurred since 1994-95. In the letters, alphanumeric are the locations of those drainage easement retention basins, if you will, that you saw in the prior figure. So to be to be a drain, the drainage district will have to be described. This is on the image on the left is a quick sketch showing approximate limits of a watershed that would service this entire area, including Mount Hope Road. And on the right shows, first order estimates of routes where accumulated waters of runoff can make their way to waters of the state. That's Acme Creek. You can see on the light gray blue shading, the heavier blue arrows are alignments or approximations of where open and closed conduits could connect these basins, or a revised plan for drainage to waters of the state. I don't show an arrow going eastbound along M72 from the junction of Mount Hope Road and M72 because that looks to be uphill by about 2 feet. I guess it's not out of the question, but probably a lot more complicated alignment than the other ones that are shown. Or not to be, it remains the same. To do that, I would need to form an agreement with the road commission to relinquish the easements, to transfer the fund balance that exists that was originated in 1994 by deposit of around $1,100. That fund has sat without any expenditures in the county treasury since 1994. So no maintenance, no expenditures whatsoever. And a nominal amount of interest now probably brings that up closer to 2.5 or 3,000. I tried to get the current balance right before I came here, but I couldn't get connected to the county's new accounting system. Oh, there's just one, thank you. So the other thing that would happen after an agreement and transfers occurred is that would be recorded so that we actually have a public record in perpetuity of how this started and ended. And then I could close the Drain Commission's filing. This is not a drain. There is no drainage district, but I have a fund and a fund balance I have to manage. So I only have 2 choices that were provided by evaluation of the circumstances of the fact pattern associated with its origin, and meeting that up or marrying that up with the drain code options. So the ask is to resolve to approve relinquishment of drainage easements from the Drain Commissioner to the Road Commission, or make no decision at all, or tell me no. But I'd like to get that by November 15th, because that allows me the time then to proceed. I've either got to make a drain or I've got to put this to bed.
So Andy, just I guess a legal question or a jurisdictional question. If, as your memo indicates, that a drainage district was not created consistent with the drain code, how does the drain commissioner have jurisdiction over it?
Well, there is no drainage district currently.
Right.
As counsel advises me, it's clear that there was intent. There was a record of an intent to create a drain. That intent was not realized into perfection since 1995. So I either have to perfect it, duty bound either protect it or relinquish it.
So I guess the reason I ask is that for first question, based upon your responses, is intent to create a drainage district sufficient to grant your office jurisdiction?
I have jurisdiction over 6 easements.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do with those.
Okay,
And those were created for the benefit
got
of
it,
your board and your
Got it.
road commission.
got it.
So I'm stranded here with a duty to you with these assets in this land.
So just to clarify for everyone, the easement agreements were between the developer and the office of the county drain commission.
That's correct.
So you are coming to us to say, look, a drainage district was not created. That developer is no longer an entity anymore, it seems like. So there is no request to create a drainage district. I want to relinquish them back to the road commission. And my understanding under the law, the road commission, that's the only entity you can relinquish it back to in the absence of the developer not being in existence.
Almost entirely correct in
Okay.
your reiteration. I would only add this qualifier. It's possible that Acme Township is an entity I could relinquish them to.
Okay.
But since they were created, there's clear public record that they were created for the purposes of servicing this road, which the road was intended to become a local road under your jurisdiction.
Okay.
I can't relinquish them to a third party without your permission. It's much simpler and more straightforward to relinquish them to you, for you to decide what you want to do. And as we've discussed on Tuesday, perhaps 100-foot right of way is more right of way than you need to maintain. Maybe from evaluation, you find that there is an opportunity for the road commission to either dispense with unnecessary lands that could include easements that were relinquished, dispense with additional right of way, perhaps for remuneration. I don't know. That's not my call. I wanted to make sure that it was discussed, that any decision should evaluate alternatives, and reasonably, there is no value to the drain commissioner or the prospective beneficiaries of drainage district as they stand today. I have to go forward. As the comedian once said, when I get to a fork, I go down one of them, you know.
From one of your previous correspondence, and it's not mentioned in your memo, but I recall seeing something. Is there a new developer that's interested in developing that property? Did I read that?
That's correct, very much so. If we were to flip back a few slides, and it was in your memo packet, this figure right here.
Yeah.
Shows the major interest owner is entity number 2,
Okay.
Ranger Group companies, and they are actively developing. They have an express interest in easement A. They approached me earlier this year. I'm sorry, actually last year. Not so much with a clear idea of what they want to do with this, but with a clear discussion about their interest in development along Mountain Hope Road. And I actually interjected the drain commissioner's interest in their development plans at Acme Township by advising all the stakeholders at that time that there was a budding or a county drain interest in this area, that it should be part of their discussions with respect to drainage. That they evolved into an understanding they have a near-term interest in modifying the geometry of easement A.
Okay, and Granger Group is not interested in, has not asked your office to create a drainage district unlike the previous developer.
They have not.
Okay,
The previous developers did express an interest under, as you've seen from the agreement, it's section 433 of the drain code. That could happen again with a new developer, but section 433 has the developer paying the entirety of costs associated with the drain petitioned under their request.
so your request is the relinquishment of easements A, C, E, F, G, H to the road commission.
It is, or the request that you tell me should not want them relinquished to you.
But with respect to easement A, there is some interest by Granger Group to modify it, and if this board chooses to move forward and take over those easements, then the developer would be dealing with the road commission.
Presumably so.
Okay.
The engineer representing that developer group is here with us tonight.
Okay.
To obviously to observe, and I don't know if he's prepared to ask questions, but they have an interest. Their interest is demonstrated by his presence.
Okay. If it's all right with you, would the engineer be willing to share with us what their plans are for easement A?
I think he's nodding in the affirmative.
Okay, so if you could please,
And if I, as I exit the dais here, I would offer this waive of privilege, council's advice to the drain commissioner.
okay, thank you.
You'll see that there are several options identified. All options are identified. And as you can see from that, there will be only two that remain after a thorough analysis.
If you could please step up, introduce yourself and.
Ryan Cox, 1230 Peninsula Court, Pleasant City, Michigan 49666. I am an engineer with the company G-Tech in Traverse City, and we did have a representative from the Granger Group who was going to be here tonight, but he got some kind of car trouble in Clare, so pardon my preparation level.
That's fine.
You know, we've gone back and forth on a lot of these easements. There's a couple different drainage districts on this property that Andy had kind of shown us on some of his exhibits. We're currently working to submit to Acme Township, probably within the next 2 weeks, to develop the very most northern portion of the property that they own. If you see the red dash line with a 1 in it, directly to the north of that is kind of a, I don't know, maybe a pan-shaped parcel that says 2 on it and has drainage basin A. That part of the property, essentially at the high point of the road that spurs off to the east with the cul-de-sac on the end of it, that portion of the property, that spur road is kind of a high point. And from there, water heads to the north. What the developer is proposing, we know there's water coming off the road. We know there's a storm culvert that goes under the road and discharges water onto this property. Where the letter A is a low spot. And part of what they have proposed would be to continue to allow the water to go there and just create a much larger retention basin to handle the stormwater from both the road and their development. And they would be maintaining that as part of their development. And by maintaining it, I mean, you know, keeping it looking decent, mowing it and keeping it in good shape. But, you know, ultimately, that is a depression on that property where the water is going to go almost no matter what, unless the road commission puts curb up and allows it to continue northward. But the developer has indicated that they ultimately would like to create a much larger retention basin and work with the road commission to handle that water on that part of the property. I do have a couple drawings I could show you folks. The very large purple area here. So there's a culvert right here that crosses the road. Culvert right there. There's a small basin there right now. They would just increase the size of that basin to take on the additional stormwater that discharges to that part of the property. The other thing would be that Acme Township requires a maintenance agreement with the township for development such as this. So that would be part of what they'd have to do. You know. Okay. Put a formal agreement together with the township and operate.
So this development is essentially in that area too.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's roughly 4 acres right in this area here, and there's drainage basin A.
Okay. Is this retail,
This is residential.
residential? Okay, like a multifamily, like a large amount of people?
Yes, it's apartments.
Okay,
They're proposing some, you know, pervious pavers and low impact design elements to kind of enhance the stormwater runoff from what they're doing. So,
yeah.
you know, I'm open to any questions you might have. Their whole goal would be to work with you or the drain commission. They understand the water's going there. And we're hoping to submit, you know, in the next couple of weeks to move forward with the project.
Well, so, because you'll be accessing it off of the Mount Hope Road anyway. I mean, we get involved, of course, you know, the drive permits and everything, and there has to be appropriate drainage typically for something that has a parking lot this size anyway. Seems to me, if we do nothing, I mean, isn't this other than our typical process that you have to go through to get a drive permit, and, you know, to make sure that you're not going to be feeding back to Mount Hope Road, for example. I mean, what happens if we just do nothing? I mean,
Right, I was gonna ask you, let's just say, for hypothetically speaking, we said, no, what would be the next step?
Well, I think that goes back to
Right.
Andy's.
Yeah,
Andy's, you know, us needing you to somewhat make a commitment, whatever way this goes. If all the easements were conveyed to the drain commission, but they with the intention of stormwater runoff from the road.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I was kind of like wanted to see what Andy's, what's the, like, just, let's say Andy, we say no, right?
yes. I'm out.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Andy.
Again, please do review the
Sure.
privilege memorandum.
Sure.
There are a number of options identified and the pitfalls associated with several of them. There's only two that I can actually act on. One requires your participation in accepting relinquishment. I'll still have to get the County Board of Commissioners to authorize that as well. But imagine going to the County Board of Commissioners without your leave first. There's a stepwise process.
Mhm.
The second is I got to create a drain. I basically start over. And that'll be a drain that starts with a drainage district properly identified to service the sub watershed. Not just the road, the watershed.
Do we need one then? Just your opinion.
Well, someday there will be the need for one, perhaps, but I don't have enough information to form an opinion that I would offer you as a professional. What I can say is there's been no expenditures since 1995.
And that money,
There's been no
that in the
development.
fund came from the developer, right? And this developer originally had an intention of an ask for a drain district. Obviously, if there's funds in an account, there was intent, right? I mean, it's there. And then the developer didn't go, I guess I'm confused. The funds were put in the account, but the drainage district was never created.
Correct. This is not the only one.
Oh, I know.
In my portfolio.
Yeah.
Yes. But this was a phenomenon that's associated intimately with the rescinded
Yes,
county stormwater.
yep.
There was a process back then. That process resulted in these wayward children, if you will. But the developer's interest at the time was only building a road. The development of properties adjacent to this road is something fairly new. There's a little bit of development early on, but
Yeah.
it's started for years.
Al, you had a question?
If we do nothing. Well, let's say we accept this, but the second step might be granting an easement to the developer. But we would have to accept that first.
You're right, exactly, that would, looking at options, 5, which talks about abandonment, and option 6, transfer to DPW. It almost sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, is that it actually, those two options actually required first the creation of the drainage district, so that's kind of like, why would you create a drainage district only to abandon it or transfer it to DPW, right?
Right, because there will be costs associated with abandonment. That cost by law has to be apportioned across the beneficiaries of the district. There's other, I'm trying to remember, that option also requires that I have to receive a petition
Yes,
from somebody to do that.
from one of the 5 freeholders. Yeah. Any other questions for Andy?
If we could get a copy of that sent to us.
Sure, I think Andy provided a copy to staff, so if if you could please email a copy of the.
I have also included it
letter.
in the last few resource slides. At the last slide of the presentation, so it's in your administrative record.
Okay. Okay,
After the question and answer slide, thank you. The engineer's letter, which speaks to the commitment of these easements for the sole benefit of the road commission alone. That's in there, as well as the waive privilege.
That would help us for getting into a decision maybe the next monthly meeting.
yeah, so I would, if Dan, if you could please make sure that this letter, attorney letter that Andy
Wouldn't
provided.
mind copies of the topographic, or the relief.
Are you able to provide us with a copy of your presentation?
Yes, so you have it on your laptop.
Okay, so
now.
if that can get emailed to all of us, that will be with the attorney letter.
Sure.
Thank you. Anything else?
Only to say, thank you, to the board and staff for making time for this. As I indicated in May, we have several cross-jurisdictional issues that I have discovered through my first term, and those need to be resolved. I'm hoping for a time, another term to clean this up.
Right.
But certainly there's 4 other drains that we have overlapping drain and right-of-way issues.
Well, thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
And the board will make sure that this is on our agenda for the November meeting. October meeting, sorry, I'm already thinking we have 2 meetings scheduled. Okay, all right, so we will have a decision before November 15th.
Thank you. That's firearm deer season opener.
Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to the consent calendar.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Request by any person present to remove an item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted: 1 minutes, 2 payroll, 3 accounts payable, 4 financial reports, 5 communications.
Thank you. Does any member of the board wish to remove any item from the consent calendar? Anyone from the public wish to remove any item from the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, make a motion to approve the consent. Do I have a support? Sure. Motion by Commissioner Underwood, support by Commissioner Lehman to approve the consent calendar as presented. Roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Kazin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item D, reports, commissioners to discuss any items from the staff report. The staff report is on. It's on page 58 of our packet. So I will start with, where should I start? I will start with Commissioner Khan.
The main question I had is on the agenda later, which is the report. So
Okay, so we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm fine. Commissioner Bloom?
I guess I do.
I have a couple of questions, and they're interesting questions because they actually came up during my talking with a county commissioner from Macomb County at that great reception. And I didn't know about this, but he asked me if we do a PASER rating for our drains or ditches. I never heard of a PASER rating for a ditch.
Not that I'm aware of. We've talked about trying to do something with our culverts. We're going out looking at our gravel roads now. in looking at those ditches, but as far as an actual Pazer rating, I don't know the actual number. Eric might be able to.
Is it because we have concrete ditches in Macomb?
Some counties down that way, the drain commissioner is also the county highway engineer.
Okay.
There may be some sort of rating system, but I'm not familiar with anything. Ditches.
That's funny.
And then the other question he asked, and this was after I told him I'm the chair of.
Yeah.
It was like, he's like, how many miles of drains do we have, or ditches, I should say? Do we have that somewhere?
Rachel, do we have that data yet, or that's still something?
Yeah, we'd have to refine that a little bit, for
So
sure. We might have something, but we'd have to find out.
do we have an approximate number? Okay.
Depends on what you qualify as a ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever is not the road in the ditch.
Less than twice the number of.
Yeah, right.
But there is data that for that, we just have to
We could
refine.
extract it. Again, we just have to define what a ditch is or what we want to.
Okay.
Probably could, or at least do some field survey stuff.
I will note that Supervisor Lemke was standing next to me when he was asking me that question, so he jumped in and said, they're doing an excellent job cleaning the ditches, and they have a very good system. I'm like, thank God, someone came to the rescue, because I'm like, this guy's asking about laser ratings and miles of ditches, and I don't know what he was talking about.
It was an interesting party.
Yeah.
Very interesting party.
The final question I have is on the intersection of Straight Road and Cedar Run Road, that barrier that people keep running into. I mean, since I have lived there, this has got to be the 10th time I'm being conservative. Like, is there a remedy to reduce damage?
Staff's actually been talking about that quite a bit, and one thought that we had was if we could do some land acquisition and we removed the guardrail and actually filled that in and made that a taper, there'd be no longer a reason to have a guardrail there.
Or slide it over further to the gravel pits.
So those are
I'm
not,
trying to think of what you're talking about, because I don't go out there all the time, but yeah, I remember
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
yeah. So those are like, no quick
They're not
fixes to
cheap.
that.
Yeah.
These are like, you're talking about land acquisition.
Depending on the
moving
land
roads.
acquisition, it might not be too bad, because we can haul the material in and do that kind of stuff. That's what we're doing all over the county right now. With like,
Take some stuff out of the ditch.
New road.
Yeah. Taking out material. But
But
that's such a big bank, we're gonna need to go further out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem. We don't know if we can get it done in our 33 feet.
I
The
guess,
issue with that
yeah.
is it's always big trucks, large ones
Right.
coming off.
Yeah.
And they can't make the swing, or they misjudge it. They're coming up from like a higher to a lower. I don't know.
and I'm
That's a
assuming it's not like we
perception
can go after that insurance because we don't know who did it.
thing. Several times it's been repaired through insurance.
Oh, so they report it?
Yeah, you know, that's,
Do we know what's the latest damage? What caused the latest damage there?
I'm not sure on that. Larry usually handles the guardrail. He would probably
Okay.
answer it on here.
The other, I guess the last question on that is like, in terms of cost for repairing the guardrails versus cost of land acquisition, doing all that, what's the cost benefit analysis of that? I mean, how much does it cost, for example, to repair that section of the guardrail every time it gets damaged? Roughly speaking, what is, do you know?
I think the cheapest option would be to move the road over towards the gravel pit side, but then I'm not sure. how
Long
long
term,
we have.
yeah.
Long term,
And,
To leave the guardrail, we'll just make it wider so they can
Yeah.
make that turn.
yeah, and it's customer relations.
well, I understand that, yeah. Who owns that gravel? Is it Elmer's?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's Elmer.
Okay, those are all the only questions I had. All right, moving on to item E, commissioners update on any meeting they have had. So I'll start with you this time.
Dan and I went to Peninsula Township and they're not, they've got a lot on their plate right now. And the road commission is not the hot button. We have agreed to work with them on. The road commission is not the hot button, Joe. We've agreed to work with them on road ends and the kind of stuff that they're working on, how to, eliminate the parking and so on. They did have a request that we, do something with the Blue Water intersection and, Blue Water and Center Road. And I spoke to Dan about this, the MDOT people, and I guess this is this might not be the greatest place, but MDOT would like us to spend some of their money, but our guys are always busy. They'll do work for us and take our payroll and take our supervisors' wages, and Phil could probably speak to this more. They'll take our whole crew off our payroll and put them on their payroll to do jobs that they have jurisdiction over. So that maybe that when we're making payroll in the summer, maybe it might be somebody else's payroll. Well, this is a big intersection within their jurisdiction, and it's a problem within the township. And just by discussing it, I'm hoping we could have some, because it's all filled with potholes. We've filled it a million times, and it's a terrible intersection. And I think we can request them to put it on the maintenance list, and
Then meaning,
MDOT.
MDOT, okay.
MDOT, and we can either fix it if we ever have time.
Right.
Or somebody can create a bid spec and bid it out. And
How does that work if MDOT takes our employees and puts them on their payroll for a specific project? Do we have to have I'm assuming we have to have a formal agreement. How does that?
We have a maintenance contract with the state, so every time our crew works on the state, I send them an invoice at the end of the month, and then they reimburse us.
Oh, okay, so that's the standard we have.
we have a procedure.
Right, yeah, okay.
Their budget year starts October 1st.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I got a little confused by putting them on the payroll part. I was like, how would how would that?
But they'll take our expense
Sure.
and our overhead.
You're right. No, that's how we have been performing all that.
It's mostly the winter contracts for plowing the stage,
Yeah.
but the roadside parking Acme, we take care of that.
Yeah.
There's some other options there, but again, like right now, we're really trying to catch up on ditching and stuff like that. Now we're stretched pretty thin. If we go into an MDOT projects, we're not doing anything on any primary or local roads.
So what is the scope of work? There are some drains there at Blue Water, and it kind of goes off. I think one end of the drain goes off the edge down the hill or something. But it starts somewhere mysterious. There's ditching here, and then the people who have the property here, they were having some problems. Gosh,
What website are we on?
I'm on Maps. This is.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Yeah, this is just, I seem to recall at that intersection, there is a drainage issue as well. And there's a drain that comes from somewhere that nobody knows. And
Is it one of the 4 drains that?
yeah, well,
Wayward children.
Maybe this is the 5th one.
I'm trying to go back in time because it's like 2017. I was actually looking at this thing. There's water flowing. Where's the water coming from? Can't tell where the water's coming from. But then it goes back down into another drain that goes across the road and it heads down the hill.
My point really to this is we've been active in many townships doing a lot of projects, and Peninsula Township is a big revenue provider for us millage wise. And we don't do a tremendous amount of stuff out there.
Okay.
And I would like to see us, and especially since in the end, we're probably not going to have to pay for it. MDOT's going to pay for it. I'd like us to get, it's going to take some work on our part. It does, handing Derek a job that he doesn't want but but they have money for this, and we have a complaint that they expressed to Dan and I, and
So are you asking requesting staff that follow up on that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so, all right. Anything else?
thank you.
I got a couple things. Dan and I were at the Village of Pipe Lake, and Dan offered, as we always do, to help them. Mostly mobilization, because they're so small, they don't have enough money to actually do some of the work they need done. And I don't know if they came in or not, but the offer was made to come in, sit down, we'll try to figure out how to help you get your projects done while we're out there doing our projects. And then they can bill back. Can't pay for it. They have to pay for it. And so I think that was really good, positive. I don't know if they've ever come in or not, but the offer was made.
They did bring their plow truck in today to have a spare for
Okay.
the repairs, so we did that for them.
Okay.
Gave them a few suggestions.
As we do with, and we've been doing it with Kingsley, so that's wonderful. The other thing I did that you guys might want to know about is, I went to CRA commissioner seminar. I got all the PowerPoint things right there, if anybody's interested in it. It was pretty good. They actually got into some meat and potatoes. There was one guy there that is Tom Calling.
Tim Cullen?
Yeah, Tim. He did an excellent job on explaining roads and how you do roads and the difference between here and that. I did find out he's usually an expert witness, so that must be why he did so well of a job. I did ask if he had some sort of a video, like a YouTube that you could link into, but I didn't get a response, so. But I got how you can get it to CRA. Things are going good, and then, of course, at the end of there, I did stay for Chris up. Financially, they were doing good. As far as that's done, the insurance pool is doing great, and everybody got reelected that was there before. We probably should do harder to get a little higher up on what did you say? How did you phrase that, Phil?
The modification factor.
Yeah, the modification factor.
It was crazy.
Crazy, what'd they say?
7%.
Okay, I'm sorry, I interchange them all the time. My apologies. But anyway, so yeah, it was a good time. And I'm glad it was there.
Thank you. Commissioner Cohen?
I had a meeting with Senator DeMoose about a housing issue, but I also took some time to talk to him about Bluff Road, explaining some of the issues going on and kind of where we're at. I have a meeting with him again next week, but I'm just gonna keep pushing Bluff Road in Lansing because the money's not coming from anywhere else, right? I mean, we don't have the money locally. And we as a road commission cannot do shoreline stabilization, so I thought I might as well talk about it while I can. So I did that. I was at Garfield and Alan wasn't, so I just thought I had to talk about housing. So they had some road commission questions. This is what we'll talk about with the Ridgeview thing. And I think that was probably it. I just want to talk about Bluff Road and maybe the status there. And then the last one would be a safety grant that we applied for with MDOT for Gray and Cedar Run.
Yeah, there's a presentation on that.
Yeah, and those are the things that have come up to me over and over again. So, and I saw that 2 were on the agenda. So that was fantastic. Thank you for reading my mind, putting together the agenda.
So we'll just stay with you and move on to item F, which is commissioners to discuss any matters. Other than the.
Bluff Road, I wanted to bring up again and talk about that, but Alan kind of touched on his thoughts on the peninsula. And I think that was probably it, other than just both of my points that are coming up down the road have to do with SAVs, so just revisiting that discussion with policy and things like that.
I'm gonna stay mine when we talk about Baker.
Okay,
I just, I had mentioned prior to the meeting to, our manager, I want to give Larry Galehouse in here and, he's former MDOT and, anyhow, he has some pretty well thought out, he'd like to do a preservation presentation. And I think it's just a good reminder, not only for us, but if anybody else is watching or something, it's just kind of the benefits of preservation, so we don't slip back into trying to fix stuff and in a way that doesn't benefit us in the end. So, I'd like to get him on next month if I could, and I'm sure he'll be able to make it.
The board meeting, September 28th, minutes, that there's the notice of claim by some law firm. Is that anything that we're gonna discuss?
where is that at?
Well, I think it was page 55, I think, when I printed, the only thing I printed, there's somebody's going out of business.
Okay, so it would be our previous law firm, the Sandy Racine, Carrie Sykes.
Oh.
So they have
Or
dissolved.
that's who that is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they have dissolved.
What about the matter above that?
Which one is that?
Says the notice of claim.
Okay, that must be something that I think we get a notice of intent to sue.
we've gotten a few of those here
Yeah,
recent.
so that's probably that's in the packet?
It is. It was, I think it was on page 55.
Okay.
I printed the page to bring it with me because we haven't had this.
Okay.
Is this one of those abandonment things or where we get, no, okay.
But we have gotten several requests for abandonment here in the last month for roads, but this is something a little further going on. We haven't gotten further with that, depending on where this goes, I'll bring it to the board. Okay.
The only thing I wanted to bring up is that I would like to start talking budgeting next month. Just, I mean, I don't know where we will be, Bill, at our next regular meeting, if you would be in a position to start sharing some data with us. Yeah, preliminary budget discussion. So that would be my goal for at our October meeting to have start doing the preliminary budget review. And the other thing I wanted to also talk about is that at our October meeting, you all should have received from me email regarding the manager's review. I have asked, those are due on October 4th. Please send them individually to me. Do not do all. And I will then forward them on to a labor council, and then she will summarize all your responses. And then my plan is to have a review at our October meeting. And then my understanding is that Dan will be requesting closed session to go and do based upon the individual reviews. We'll discuss them with the attorney present and hopefully, be able to finish that review process in October. Yeah. Which actually reminds me, I have to do it too. But those are the two things I wanted to discuss. Okay. Moving on to item G, which is employee benefits agent. There are 3 different people initialed here, so who wants to take it?
I can take it, Heather's not here tonight.
Okay.
So we did put that back out again, I think. The last one that also.
It was 2015 or 2016.
No, 15 was in my mind. It's been brown and brown.
17.
17.
Yeah. Because I know I've been
Before my time here.
It was, yeah, Dean, I think, yeah.
So we did put that out and, myself, Phil and Heather, we did review those. And we did have several conversations with staff from there, and Vantage Group actually did come in and do a presentation for us. And that's who we decided to recommend was the Vantage Group. They are local. And what is nice about them is when we have enrollment time and all that stuff, they're actually gonna bring a staff in and they're gonna do it. They're gonna be right on spot for questions. They said they meet after hours for spouses. It really seemed like they had a lot of customer support and being right here in Traverse City. It really seemed like a good fit for us.
Okay. So I believe the staff is wrong. Yeah, I need to.
I'll make a motion that we award the Advantage Benefits Group as our employee benefits agent. We hire them.
Second. So we have a motion from Commissioner Lehman to hire Advantage Benefits Group as our employee benefits agent. Second by Commissioner Underwood. Any discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Does this require roll call or can we just do a voice? We'll just
Roll call.
Roll call? Okay. Roll call, please.
Underwood.
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Horn.
Yes.
Lehman. Yes. Chasm.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to item H, Ridgeview Court. Is there anything in the packet regarding that?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So we got bids back Tuesday for review board. We have 3 bidders on it. This came in 43% over the original estimate, which was given to them last year. So they elected to be on hold, and they can kind of make some changes or find some other funding sources for it.
So it's not even something we have to,
So we don't have to, there's no decision, but you want to.
I was just waiting to say no.
Okay, so we don't, so you're not asking for any decision on this board meeting? Okay, so Commissioner Vaughn,
Just for everybody's overall costs came in at.
So their quote they were given, this is just the roadway portion, because that water line with it, I split that out, because it's not being funded by us, or being worked on by us. Elvers came in $183,919.49. Wall construction came in at $210,000, $142.50. And Mullen X unit came in at $208,000, $208,271.
So it's a small, very small portion.
Okay, given that you essentially provide the original estimate based on,
I did not write the
Eric didn't do it.
oh, no,
This was
We
last.
inherited this one from past that.
from
Okay.
previous engineer,
That's
and what was our estimate, the engineer's estimate?
At that time, it was 130,000.
yeah.
So is that because, what do you attribute the
It's a
42%?
very small road. It's only 800 feet long, so you have very high unit prices.
Mobilization.
The per ton asphalt price was quite a bit different for what it used for and that. And over the last year, it has raised quite a bit. You know, being a smaller portion, there was a lot more than what. I think we remember we talked about what we were using there for the calculations. We were doing it on like long lane miles when it was not being used on the smaller SAP projects like that.
So what are we asking them to revise?
We're not doing it. Yeah,
We're not doing it, I thought there was
Well,
something,
maybe change the scope of work, maybe.
so that
Try to
request,
get it down a little bit. It's only 800 feet long, so there's not gonna change it a whole lot.
so that request is to the homeowners?
Yes.
Okay.
It's over
Yeah,
10%.
Again,
Was the water line out of the pricing here too?
That already was just the roadway.
That was because there was some discussion that they were going to replace the water lines too, and we were not sure whether this, but this was just for the road.
They were bid together, but I split them out by category.
So the 183, the lowest bid, 183,919 from Elmer's is just for the road.
Just the road, yes.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, was the water line portion much higher than expected also?
I didn't put it, we did not.
we were involved in that part. So it was original, but we had looked into this. So the SAB was to do the road, and while they're doing the road, the township said, we'll do the water line for right there.
Yeah.
So in this, it's 42% sounds way over, but original was 130 and came in at 180. It's not a huge difference there, but
But for the homeowners,
it is,
Would
but
be.
I mean, that's when you say 42%, go, oh my gosh, what happened?
Right.
130 versus 180, it's such a small section is why it would.
do we have anything in close proximity that we could bundle with to get, better mobilization and essentially, efficiencies, size efficiencies?
It could be an option next year if we bundle some of our paving projects, but nothing like in that same scope.
I mean, just something where we could try to work a better deal for the people, or,
Yeah.
Because there might be another neighborhood, the same kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Well, we have the Hampshire SAD coming up next year too.
Okay.
Maybe we'll put all those together.
okay, oh, they're different, okay. Okay, so Commissioner Thorne, you wanted to talk about this?
Yes. So my understanding is this is the last of the old bids that the township is dealing with. And as you know, the township did come forward and split some costs with the road commission on overages, or present that. We could have a possibility to look for some funding from the township to assist these homeowners. The township did not like the original bid. They questioned the engineer, not Derek. They also went to the township engineering firm, who also thought that it was a bad bid. It's kind of part of the process that we've been talking about before. The homeowners relied on the bid with a contingency amount, and this is a lot more. It's a lot for the homeowners on that road. They're smaller homes.
And there's only 18 houses on.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people to split it up with.
Yeah.
They really had put a lot of effort and time into this. They had a lot of buy-in from the people, like they were ready for it. The township was supportive of it, and they're disappointed. And I understand we can't be throwing money at projects, and I get that. But we all, the board, the staff have spent a lot of time trying to correct some things and making sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. And we're going to talk about our policy, and we've changed the way we do the engineering, and there's different staff. So I was hoping that we could consider looking into doing something like we were prepared to do with some of the other SADs that, I don't want to be dramatic, but like fell victim to maybe some really bad processes for their bids. And I think that this is not a huge project. To us, it's not a huge amount of money, but to the homeowners, it makes it not possible. So maybe we could look at it. If we didn't change our staff and didn't change the way we do things, I would think that's unsustainable and ridiculous to bring it up. But we have made significant changes, and I think we're just dealing with the very end of those right now. So I, just wanted to bring up on behalf of their board and the residents there that, they're willing to make some discussion, have some discussions with us about perhaps filling in some of the gap in the costs. It is Garfield Township.
What was remind me, the thing that comes to mind is something similar in that Blue Star.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
So the township, I think, made what, 25%? And then we pitched in some money?
With the bid came back, there's a dust up, and so this board agreed with Garfield Township to split that difference. It was like 40 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we split the difference.
yeah.
So we split the difference.
They paid 25 and we paid the,
20 and 20 or whatever.
yeah.
Because
And the
of
homeowners
the
paid.
exact
I
state
believe the board is
situation.
willing to consider that kind of deal with the road commission. And again, I don't like this at all, but I think that we're trying to finish up the last of what happened, and we did it for one group, and I think we need to be equitable. And I think we also, at the same time, are changing the way we do our bids, are looking at different scopes. Your construction committee is looking at different ways to do these. We're gonna look at different policies. So we're not, just going down the road, throwing money hand over fist.
And that was Blue Star.
It was Blue Star, and it was the same township, and the board is
And
aware.
that's my next, what are we doing? What's
I know,
the,
it would be
what is
wrong.
the, I don't have it in the packet. This is, this SAD, what are we doing?
Crush and shade.
Just a crush and shape. Okay, so it's a crush and shape.
How much over?
It's like 40 or 50,000.
Well,
50,000.
130, 183 is the lowest bid, so it's about like 53,000. Well, almost 54, it's 183,
Right.
919.
So it's in the margin of where the township is willing to consider that. Because we did it for the other one, and I again don't like that, but we're not gonna have any more. This is the last one.
See, I want to be careful that we're not gonna have another one.
I know,
So,
that's
so
what I'm
I
worried about.
don't, yeah, I don't want to set that as a reason for doing it. I think it should be more focused on the project, the scope of it. I mean, we are talking about 18 homes. It will be very, very difficult for 18 homes to be able to split it. Yeah, I don't want to, because it could happen again. And
This is ridiculous. This looks like $100,000 job.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's literally what.
So Garfield Township thought that.
You
and
can
had
admit it.
questions.
You can excuse yourself.
If it's just an 800-foot road, 22-foot ride, crush it up, add some gravel to it, and repave it with 3 inches of asphalt. It's a $90,000 or $100,000 job.
But that's what Garfield or Gordy Fraser said to Jim. That was the conversation.
But that's the discussion we have been having for over a year, is that because of the lack of competition, this is what we
That's
get.
it.
This is what I
It
get.
is
That's why
hard.
you say
It
no.
is
You have to say
hard
no.
If you were a real big company to do this.
Yeah, but others
But
are.
we're gonna talk about budget.
Beat some.
And I
beat
think I went out and looked at some of the wedging jobs that the crew did. The crew wants to wedge. I think you should buy them a paver, and I think you should teach them to pave this road.
And I think that is a discussion we have had, is that in the long term, we should be considering, we have been talking about it for over a year, that in the long term, we should be considering buying certain equipment to be able to do these types of smaller jobs. But, I mean, we have come across budget issues, manpower.
How often are we gonna, and the thing is, we're gonna run into non-competitive issues going forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
The
Yeah.
more we go forward, the more they're gonna say, we got you.
right.
And frankly, you know what? Having a paver in the back lot, whether we use it or not, is as good a threat as anything to keep prices down.
The thing is that companies like Elmer's or to your point, they're like, or to your point, I say no, well, it's not gonna matter to them, right? I think what it's gonna matter to the 18 homes there that are not getting their road done
Smaller
because,
jobs,
you know,
they have an option.
and it is frustrating, that we are kind of subject to these high numbers when you are telling us that, this is $100,000 job.
So,
And Elvis is the lowest one. I mean, I don't know.
and I could think of some other areas that could use it, and if we had the option to do something at a little smaller cost for smaller jobs. We can get them we can do it, still do the SAD, still get paid for it. But us do it if it's just gonna be too much.
I mean, that's a lot of money, Derek. What $190,000 is a lot of money.
And that is certainly something that we should continue to talk about more seriously than we have in the past about our ability to bring some of these smaller projects in-house. But that doesn't still solve this issue here. So at this time, we don't have to make a decision. I think if this board is so inclined, we could pursue discussions with the township similar to what we did through STAR, if that is favorable. I think that's reasonable. But I want to make clear that it's not because we are cleaning up and this won't happen again. I don't want to set that precedent. It's because it's a small project. People relied upon it, and I don't know. I'll just not say anything. I think we do it on a case-by-case basis based upon the review of this board.
But I think we should be clear that it's not our practice.
Right,
That's what I
exactly.
mean. When you say things
Yeah.
like it's not gonna happen again, meaning we're making positive action steps to not be in the same situation.
Yeah,
It's not like, I mean, obviously, anything can and will happen. If our board didn't acknowledge the issue and try to make changes with scope, construction, maybe getting a paver, I don't know, or changing the policy, then I wouldn't have even brought it up tonight.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by saying it won't happen again, saying we are making changes that put us in a position like this.
Yeah, I think that we as a board should consider these requests on a case-by-case basis regardless, and this is probably one of the projects that looks like that we should consider it because it's very similar to Blue Star. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Derek, is this the last one?
Last one I know of.
Yeah. Chuck told me it was the official
Have we had
last one.
less requests
Like it
now for
literally
these
was
special
happening, yeah.
districts?
Well, what I've had this year's been the Hampshire Drive.
And we have an accommodation with them.
Yeah, very good.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we did a couple other ones that,
We had some estimates for some, I've never heard back.
yeah, several estimates, but never got to this
Right.
stage.
So,
None that the townships had approved.
do we should we make a motion to authorize staff to pursue discussions with township and the homeowners as to how to fund this project?
I'll make a motion that we direct staff to talk to the township to see if there's ways.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Underwood, support by Commissioner Corn, to directing staff to begin discussions with the township and the homeowners regarding funding for the Ridgeview SAD. Any further discussion before we
The
vote?
only question I'd have is, does that assume that that is exactly what we're going to do? Or, I mean, I don't mind discussions.
Yeah, it's just discussion, then they'll report, come back to the board, and then the board will
All right.
eventually decide. We're not deciding anything, we're just authorizing staff to begin those discussions. And no other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Bikner Road Bridge Design Proposal, that is on page 70 of your packet. Derek.
Yeah. On September 19th, I received proposal back from 3 consultants for the design of our Brightner Road Bridge, which is designed looking for construction in 26 or 27 through the MDOT local bridge program. We still sit through our as-needed professional services list from Prime off, Wade Trim and OHM. Wade Trim came in with the proposal of $363,978, and OHM is $366,000. Due to the completeness of their proposal, staff is recommending OHM for this project.
So that's where it come in with something.
So yeah, they couldn't commit to it this year for with the staff they have on hand, so.
So Derek, is OHM's 366 I'm assuming it includes the allotment for the right of
They
way?
included right of ways, soil borings, and they're into the environmental stuff themselves.
And was Wade Trim contacted to given an opportunity to amend their bid to include that, or?
They were gonna do they didn't foresee any right of way with the project.
And do you foresee right of?
There could be, depending on how high we raise that structure and the grading limits on the US 31 side. But very minimal, probably just grading things, but it's an MDOT project, so you have to go through the whole right of way process.
An MDOT project, so.
Any
I-
comment?
Since the staff has decided that they should award this to OHM, I think we should award it to OHM.
And it's
I do like low bid. And we have talked about that when the bid's been closed and then you don't give it to the low bidder, but there are some other considerations.
The OHM also had a contingency in their soil borings in case they need to go further with them, so there's a little bit extra on their soil.
So my motion would be to award, follow the staff's recommendation and award the contract to OHM for the bridge design.
In the amount of 366,000.
I'll
Okay,
support that.
all right.
Can I make a few comments that are unrelated to?
Let me state the motion and then I will take. There's motion from Commissioner Lehman, support by Commissioner Corn to award the bid for the Bidner River Road Bridge Design Services to OHM in the amount of $366,000. We are no longer doing more or less. So with that discussion,
And it doesn't have to do with the bid, it has to do with the project. And that's, I've talked to staff here, but not my county Parks and Rec hat. As you know, they have parking lots on both sides of that road. The County Road Commission owns both sides. They have a large chunk on the east side. So it's okay with the board. I'd like to have County Parks and Rec come in and talk about closing those two off, coming in through, and I can't remember the name of the road, Seabrook Road, and putting a parking lot over there that they would obviously be responsible for paying for or cost sharing it out. So that we can clean that all up and make it a safer route through there. And I just want everybody to be aware of that. They've also requested that they put a path, pedestrian path underneath it. But I got a feeling that might be cost prohibitive. Depends on how much room you have to.
Is that what you're talking about, Derek, the height elevation of that?
So I just want everybody to be aware of it, and it's a great opportunity for us to partner with the county and county parks to kind of clean up an area that needs to be cleaned up. I've also suggested to the county and county parks that that's also a good time for them to change the roundabout that goes to nowhere.
That's.
So that they can have their drives over there at the same time we're doing this and change it so that we can shut off another entrance onto Keystone further up. So we can kind of maybe clean the whole area up in one swoop as we do this project.
The fact that the parking lots are on both sides is really dangerous. They're obviously,
You're right.
if we all know,
Yeah.
know that. And that's a great idea, Joe.
So hopefully everybody's okay. I've kind of talked to Dan, I've talked to the parks folks, and so hopefully we'll all get together. We can make it
And the less.
and most important thing is the bridge. But we can maybe
Absolutely,
pack it
yeah.
all together and it'd be all nice when it gets reopened.
I would
Go
love to
forward.
close that parking lot access. I know it's not Lone Pine. What is it? It's the one right next to Lone Pine. But there would be no more access off of Keystone. Yeah, I can't remember because there's like 4 names in a row, but they would just use the roundabout to nowhere and it would go right to the park.
It's a roundabout to nowhere city property.
It
there,
is city
though.
property and Parks and Rec is in negotiation. The city be able to come across that. The city's not sure what they want to do with that. They've talked about solar farm at one time. I don't know where we're at.
So your proposal, the property we own, you,
Well, just
we would,
that we work with
With
Parks and
that.
Rec, so we clean it all up in one swoop, when it's all ripped up, we might as well, we can
Yeah.
remove that parking lot on the one side.
okay,
We can block them off, so they're not coming on and off Keystone, they're coming on and off other ways.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't dramatically increase our cost of this
Yeah.
project, right?
would it be,
I've read about that,
would it be tied into this
That's
project?
the-
though?
Well, only in, if
This
we
is
can
for
go
design
underneath it,
survey.
correct?
Yeah.
And if they come back and say,
It's
they were asked to
Evaluate
evaluate
that,
it.
but
They're evaluating
right away
it.
here and then we got.
So we don't need to include this in
No.
this motion, this
But
is.
it's- Right, yes, kind
Right,
of be
okay.
aware that there's maybe a bigger opportunity here to try and partner with other folks to get everything cleaned up at one swoop. If we do it. So,
Okay. Great, so we have a motion, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Gilman,
Yes.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes.
Underwood.
yes.
Castle.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item J, Knight Road Accident Damage Repair. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is, damage done as a result of a fire? Truck fire that melted the road?
We just get.
That bird came in about 4-inch, half-inch and some asphalt underneath of it.
Oh, is everyone okay in that? I mean,
I
that,
think so. I know one of our guys knows the guy that was driving. He had just enough time to get his lunchbox and get out of the truck.
okay, good.
Was it an electric?
I have no idea.
No, I thought.
those burn hot.
Yeah, I thought that.
And the worst thing to do is to spray water. All right, somebody make a motion to approve this.
Oh, I'll make the
Oh, yeah.
motion to approve Elmer's Crane and Dozer for the repair of Knight Road due to setting the road on fire in the amount of $16,215.
Second.
There's a motion from Commissioner Corn, second by Commissioner Underwood to approve Elmer's bid in the amount of $16,215 for repair to damage to Knight Road. Any further discussion?
Further discussion is this is not within your limit, Dan, to just do it.
No,
Not yet.
not yet.
It's dumb, right?
No.
Well, it's kind of low.
$1,200 over.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's 15,000.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the.
This one is an insurance claim though.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, it's a subrogation, yeah. Okay, roll call, please.
Corn,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Castle.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item K, safety grant update. I asked Derek to give us an update on the results from the grant request that we had approved earlier this year through the state for some safety projects. So Derek?
So we put it in for 4. We put in for the North Fond Lake at Herkner / TC West High School intersection to kind of work with them while they redo their entrance and get one signalized intersection there. We did receive that funding. HRC is already starting work on that project for us. And we received funding for Cedar Run Road, road safety audit that runs from Cedar Run Road from Gray Road to Harris Road. Similar to what we've done on C4 and Silver Lake and Garfield and Potter. That was for $20,000, and sharing $4,000. The third one we applied for was the 3 Mile Road at Potter Road roundabout. We did not receive funding for this project. And the last one was North Long Lake at Straight Road / East Long Lake Road, the Bogwell roundabout. We did not receive funding for that. I spoke with MDOT and she's gonna prepare us something on what we can do better next time or what they saw in our proposals that they're quite flex to.
What was the C-Core one?
This was last.
Oh, okay,
this
that was the road safety
previous-
audit,
Yeah,
right?
we've done the RSA.
Yeah, okay. So we got the Herkner Road one. Do they give you reasons as to why they approved some?
I
of it?
spoke to her. She was extremely busy trying to get her year-end stuff together, so she was going to get us something like that going forward.
And we got approval to do a road safety audit for Gray and Cedar intersection, correct?
Yes.
And when would that road safety audit take?
That would take place, and we could either advance construct it in 25 or in 26.
I'm sorry, I missed the word you said. We can do what in 20?
Advanced construction.
What does that mean?
You can move your funds forward and do it early.
Okay,
For the
So-
auditor.
for the audit, right? For the audit. That's it. Just,
we would be advanced constructing the Signal 2 to coincide with the schools project as well.
Okay,
Yeah, but you're right, it's just for the audit.
just the audit.
Yeah, because that's all we do.
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah,
So we got
Just the audit.
funding for it in an application this fiscal year. And but we're not gonna have the audit until next fiscal year.
That's what I'm saying. This was funding was for 26, the safety projects.
The safety project, the actual audit for
Yes.
26. Oh, wow. Okay, I thought it was one fiscal
And you
year,
can move it ahead forward.
but you can move it ahead.
So we
Okay.
probably pay with the 20 and then get reimbursed 16,000.
So we can do the audit on both of, or at least the Gray Road and Cedar
It'd
Run.
be the whole segment from Gray to Harris.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Including
and
their-
that can actually be next year, correct? Fiscal year 25.
Maybe 25.
okay. There seems to be quite a bit of talk about Gray Road and Cedar Run Road recently. And I know that there were some meetings. I don't think any of our commissioners or board were a part of it. But there was like meetings with the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners and all this stuff. Dan, were you in? the room?
Yeah, I've attended.
I kind of just wanted to hear about that or make sure that our board members knew about that.
Was that at the NPO?
So, no,
Mhm.
Penny Morrison has been kind of leading the charge on this, and she set up several meetings with the Leelanau County. Their road commission manager, people from their county board, and their big concern is that the roundabouts going in the second half of the Front Street project down there. 22 and 72,
Oh,
they're putting a
that-
roundabout in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and they believe that all the traffic is gonna go to Cedar Run. Now, the state's not officially closing that down. It's gonna be an open working project, so there's no funds to help do any other work for, that, so.
But there are gonna be people who just, you know, I mean,
It's,
path of least resistance.
it's not the official detour, but
Yeah.
Leelanau County fears that's gonna become the
It's gonna be.
detour. And they're looking for us to do something to help ease that traffic. They can't put any funding in it, it's
Yeah.
not their county. But they're looking for us to come up with solutions, and we already know we already have an issue there, but
What are they concerned about that? It will go through Gray Road to Bogai? I mean, I don't understand what their concern is, as far as Leelanau County is concerned.
they think that's gonna be like the new gateway to Leelanau County, because everybody going up 72 Hill.
So they'll go to
It was Cedar Run.
Cedar
and Gray,
and Bogai Road.
Yeah,
right
just
across
go
that.
right through the lake.
Or all the way down to what's the next road of the way,
Could we,
Goodman.
well, could we? So one of the main routes gonna be Gray and
Cedar.
Cedar Run, so could we unilaterally, can we put stop signs out there and then like make it a three-way stop? And it would be slow, but it would be flow, I mean, and it'd be, I mean, because people drive down Cedar Run really bad, the hill is really bad right there before that intersection. I'm just trying to think of trying to avoid. Yeah,
I know Derek probably speaks this better than I can off of engineering models. They're saying it's not recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend it there just because of the hill and stop traffic or whatever.
could we put up signs that indicate increased traffic at least while that construction's going on, you know, to maybe basically a slower zone at least. I mean, just kind of a heads up that.
Talking like a slower speed zone.
Yeah,
Maybe look at a temporary.
yeah, because obviously we can't set
Yeah.
the speed limit lower, but we can advise lower speeds.
Yeah. And people, it's up to people.
Yeah.
I should follow, right?
But I can see, I know the traffic there, and with all the new apartments and condos that are right there on Gray Road right now, the traffic already is exponential growth from, say, 10 years ago. And with this is gonna be pretty serious for a while, at least until they get that done.
So here's what I've observed, because I live on that side of town. And right now there's increased traffic there because a lot of traffic is avoiding Grandview Park.
Right.
And they're cutting through the Munson and the Grand Traverse Pavilions and all that. And all that traffic is coming through Cedar Run because to get to Leelanau County. So it's already happening. You know, I personally, I'm gonna defer to the engineer for solutions on this. That's why we have him. So
Did Derek get to go to this meeting?
I don't think Ed did the first one, but we're trying to schedule another one.
Yeah.
It was
So
kind of a meet and greet to see what's going on, and there's mostly been emails and a lot of phone conversation.
so my first concern was the safety grant. I think you know where I'm going with it now. We're gonna have increased traffic next year at a time where I honestly think that that is a really unsafe intersection. I think we do need to, I mean, we all talked about it. But we're going to be doing a safety audit in the middle of the M72 construction I guess I don't know, maybe we can work around that, but I just kind of wanted to bring that up. First of all, was the timing of that so that we can have optimal and good facts and data for a decision on that. And then the second thing was Jim O'Rourke stopped me after the airport authority meeting. He sits on there representing Leelanau. I don't know if you guys know him. Was a sheriff's deputy forever in Leelanau County. So he's very concerned about this, you know, de facto detour. And he, of course, said that they want to help do funding, and we know that they can't. But they didn't know anything from temporary traffic lights to putting up the three-way stop or any of that stuff. But I know that sometimes those things cause more accidents.
And that's what I was gonna say, is there's options there, none of them are good. but
That's
there's
what I thought. Okay, so that was kind of what he was talking about too. And I wanted to make sure that we, like, first of all, let the board members know that, like, the Leelanau board's been meeting and talking about it, and our county board has, but we really haven't been part of the conversation, so.
Can we do like a pilot study thing, like a limited time period, try different options? Excuse me, temporary stoplights.
I mean,
It's not-
can do, but, you know, I hate just changing stuff constantly back and forth.
Would you say turn lanes to be a good option?
I mean, if they had a turn lane there, we could maybe,
Obviously,
if we were to signalize it temporarily. but
Yeah, the-
without
Turn
our split
lanes.
phase of the signal.
I think the biggest problem I see is traffic turning left
Yeah.
on Cedar from Gray.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest problem,
100%.
because that's where the detour is gonna happen. And there's gonna cause a massive, I'm thinking that's gonna cause some big backups on Gray Road.
It's like Harris's this year. Do
Yeah.
you ever go on Harris?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
Yeah, it is
bad.
pretty bad.
yeah,
Right
it
by my
is,
house,
it is,
really
it is. bad.
So if you were to temporarily signalize that intersection, as it is currently, there's only a one lane each direction on Cedar Run, you have to split phase that signal where each leg would go.
Because there's no turn lane.
There's no turn lane. So,
That's what we were talking about too, is like, how do you, even if you put a guy out there, like say you paid a cop to stand out there and direct it, you still would have the problem of not having the turn lane.
But no, but my temporary signal was, it would stop, it would regulate traffic going down Cedar Run and Gray. So there'll be a red on, let's just say, Cedar Run to allow that left turn from
yeah, you
Gray.
have to signalize the other two. which I-
Right,
Without the turn lane, you'd have to run each leg of Cedar Run independently. Because if somebody's turning left in front of you, you're never gonna get to go.
right, okay, I see.
Kind of, the Parkway has that configuration right
Yeah,
Kind of like turning State Street two-way. You just sit for like, you can sit for 15,
Oh, let
20
me
minutes.
try
and
that
one person
experiment.
decides to turn left. And that's, I think, what would happen here, right? Like, okay. So this has kind of been brought up a lot. I'm sure all of us have heard it from other people. The first thing I wanted to make sure that people knew is we did apply for the safety grant. We were issued it. We do care about that intersection, independent of the construction projects on Grandview Parkway. We care about the safety of that intersection. And, you know, we've talked about everything from turn lanes to lights or roundabouts,
When
whatever,
we were
right?
applying for the RSA, I looked at the turn lane and signal or roundabout, ran the options and it
mhm.
Yeah.
didn't really have a competitive score. That's why we're kind of doing the road safety audit to get us
Right.
some points when we apply for something.
In order to add turn lanes on Gray, would that require land access?
We might have to look at it. I haven't looked at it. I mean, we probably have to land acquisition out there. That's my.
And my biggest concern is that the Long Lake Township has plans to develop that intersection. There's supposed to be a big development going at the corner of Cedar Run and Gray. And,
The two Kellys.
you know, and it's supposed to, the proposed development is supposed to add about like 500 or
The
1,500 apartments.
Eagles giving them fits about right now. That's what's stopping.
So,
Otherwise, it's happening.
there's gonna be issues at that intersection. I thought, Derek, you said that this was gonna happen in 26. It will happen in 25?
We can move it ahead.
We'll move it.
But I'm questioning, should we? Because,
I'm questioning that too.
but that would be your decision.
I mean, I'm just saying we have the option.
Yeah.
Right.
Choose.
I mean, I want to make sure that people that live in that area know that we, got this grant, we care about it, we want to make this intersection good, but I'm afraid we're gonna have really skewed data because it's got.
It's on a regular day, it's a pretty high volume intersection regardless, but.
Yeah. All right, any other discussion? Any questions for Derek?
Thank you for the update on it.
All right, thank you. Moving on to your Commissioner Lehman's favorite topic, disposal of.
So we've sold several pieces of equipment to Prescale before when they were here earlier, buying some old plow trucks, excavating pickup trucks. We did look at what we had in our fleet. Had some movement in admin, and there is a couple free trucks. And we looked at that it would make sense to forward load truck 170 at that time, in an amount of 33,000. Spare.
Okay.
We did purchase it in I believe 2019 for 35,000.
And just for the boards, a lot of this, the plan of keeping them not too long so that they keep their value. We started doing that several years ago. And this is a good example. We're doing okay on this, for a 5-year-old truck.
Wait a minute, we bought it for 35,000?
No.
Selling it for 30?
No,
So
yeah,
you bought
actually,
it for-
So
yeah.
35, so 33.
33.
And you had 80,000.
5 years of use.
Yeah.
For $2,000?
So, I mean, you have to count just the perspective, of course, I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
my
it's
truck is worth
insurance.
as much as I paid for it too. Because 2019 prices and today prices are
I know.
wholly different. But the idea is that if we don't hold anything for too long.
Right.
And we're really getting some cheap use out of it, and
Yeah.
people are getting,
They're ecstatic for purchase.
yeah, exactly.
Plus, I think trucks hold their value better too. I mean, so
If we're gonna get in trouble moving forward, I think I talked about this before, is that my ideal pricing is no longer there
Right.
for our original purchase.
And we have talked about it, and I think this board discussed it at one of its previous meetings, that staff really should be looking statewide for the best deals rather than going exclusively for my deal. And I think that is the smart way to do it, to get the best deal. Everyone else is doing it, why not us? So, all right, do I have a motion to approve the sale of this truck?
Make that motion.
All right, there's a motion by Commissioner Gilman, support by Commissioner Thorn to approve the sale of the 2019 GMC 2500 to Presque Isle County Road Commission in the amount of $33,000. Roll call, please.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Corn.
Yeah.
Chasm.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay,
I love it.
so we have a request here to go into.
Bridger City.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of written communications from council.
And that would be Commissioner Corn, I'm assuming pursuant to MCL 15.268H, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So is there a second, so there's a motion from Commissioner Corn, second by Commissioner Lehman to go into closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268H to discuss privileged communication from our attorney Bill Henn regarding Roke versus GTCRC, which is pending litigation. Roll call, please.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Corn.
Yes.
Lehman. Yes. Chasm.
Yes.
Only close.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You guys want me to do the no function?
Okay, you're going, Underwood.
Thank you. Phil, can I get just for when we come out?
Can I motion to come out of closed session?
So move. Oh, support.
Motion by Commissioner Underwood, support by Commissioner Corn to come out of closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, Commissioner.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed as directed.
Direct counsel to proceed.
As, yes.
As discussed in closed
Yeah,
session.
discussed in closed session.
Need a second?
Yes.
Second.
So there's a motion for Commissioner Lehman, support by Commissioner Underwood, directing the attorney to proceed as discussed in closed session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay, managers' comments.
I had quite a few notes, we talked about a lot of them, so just wanted to give a few updates. Our video count, I think we had that out there in our last weekly update, but I did talk to Susan today and she said we're up to 168,000 views.
Wow.
Of what?
Off of our videos that we've been doing,
Oh,
the
nice.
wedging, the ditching.
I like the wedging one. That was
Yeah.
good. I learned a lot.
I have an idea about you. You know how they have straight from Nate? What about what's up with Watkins?
Oh,
Gotcha.
That Watkins. That could go wrong.
what else did I wrote down here?
Go ahead.
Don't suggest it to Susan, so they can do it.
She was.
I think it's all right, go ahead.
Excellent. Kingsley project is coming along really well. We're definitely, I shouldn't even say it, it looks like we're ahead of schedule. And we're looking really good financially. I did reach out to the building committee and we found ways to save different amounts of money. And we took a few things out of the project. One of the biggest things we took out was a lot of the asphalt for the parking lot. And originally, yep, to try to get us down into that budgetary number. And in talking with them, we were able to add that back into the project. And I think we're all done. You know, the goal is we're still gonna have some, I'm hoping to come back and say we came in under budget still. So
As that Macomb County Commissioner told me, again, the same guy, I heard you guys are building a expensive shed.
Kidding me? Whoa, that's.
I'm like, yeah, it's a $13 million shed.
I love that Hyder was cornered at a cocktail party and Joe and I did nothing to assist him whatsoever.
Oh, gosh. I mean, once they found out that I am a municipal attorney,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, we're there. I was like,
We're just seeing him in the corner of our eye.
I was
We're
like,
over here.
okay. And the thing is, I couldn't push away because they are the clients.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, oh,
This is the firm from.
yeah, this is free advice. All right, so go ahead.
Also, we did name someone as our new fleet facilities manager, Josh Robinson. He actually has been with us for about a year. He was in the crew, but previous to that, he worked for AIS and he ran their field division for anything that was broke down out in the field. So he has a lot of experience. He was kind of stepping away from there, the hecticness of it.
Yeah.
So he really enjoys the road commission. He's had a year to kind of see what we're doing, but he can also put those skill sets together. So I'm really excited to work with Josh and hope to have him in at the next board meeting and introduce you to him. I didn't want to throw him to the wolves on his first week and
Oh, my gosh.
sitting here, so.
We're not.
Not us.
Lambs. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about is safety committee. So we're starting up a safety committee and we're actually pretty excited about it. We're bringing people in from every department and we're actually gonna start working on it this week, have everybody do the OSHA 10. Have staff do that. And the big thing we're gonna concentrate on that, if we look at our trends, it's like Joey just saw a lot of the report here. Over the last 4 years, from 2019 to 22, we have went up that mod rate that we want to see at 1 or below. We're at 1.2, so we're 20% over an accident. So you know what the standard is for road commission.
But how many of those were fault of other drivers? So, I mean, we had a rash of incidences where people were running into our
But these
equipment.
are more like fingers, toes injuries.
In-house here.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoulders.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Somebody got ran over by a cow too.
That's,
A bull.
that wasn't workers' comp.
No.
Oh,
I'm just saying, we had a rough run here.
That was
He got run over by a bull, one of our employees.
That was on his own time.
That was.
So these are incidences that happen at the facility.
Yeah,
While-
while working. So the way that it works for moderate, it doesn't look at the current year. And it doesn't look at the year past, it does the previous 3 years that for the average. So a year is always falling off. They don't look at the past current year. So we're looking at, that 19, 20, 22, that kind of era. They did state, we had some management changes in that time frame, and they contribute a lot of that to that. So looking forward to our moderates to get back off. That's where we're really gonna start pushing that safety committee.
Good.
So
The big three, push and pull lift, causing injury. I sat through a.
You said. Well,
No more sacrifices to the goddess of compensation are necessary, so let's,
no, I don't want anybody getting hurt.
yeah, that's definitely
Yeah.
something we do not want happening here. The biggest injury when we sat down and went through the report is trees. Cutting trees is still the worst thing across the board for all road commissions, including us. So that's something we're gonna definitely concentrate.
that's a tough job.
Yeah. Do we have a winch for the?
So we do have winches on all of our chippers.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's something that we
We
work.
literally sat through these meetings on.
That was something we definitely pushed on. So the only other thing that I had, October 2nd is the county board meeting. And I am triple booked with meetings. I didn't know somebody.
Which one, which date is it?
I believe it's October 2nd,
October 2nd.
Wednesday, if anybody's interested. If not, I could ask other staff to.
What, is there going to be a presentation of some sort?
No, it's just my monthly, go down to the road commission, or go down to the county board and do it.
So Wednesday morning.
I can do it.
Wanna do it?
I can do it. What time are they at?
9.
9?
Yeah, just get her your
I'll let you
notes.
know. I might be there talking about these way township.
Okay. The only thing I would ask is, can somebody send me just a quick email so that I have some points to make sure that I cover anything important that we think that the board should know?
Definitely. Appreciate that.
I'm gonna put it on my calendar right now. You said 9 o'clock?
And I will be attending the superintendent's conference that 3 days right in there.
But there will be someone, so Commissioner Korn will be making the update.
Yeah.
Okay, give it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, then definitely give her.
Give me some notes.
What
I'll
the
be like,
report.
a guy got run over by a bull. It was on his own time, but that
And we're
happened.
losing more farmers than we should.
What's going on? What? I don't understand.
All right.
Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay, commissioners' comments, questions, future agenda items. Nothing,
Well said.
nothing from me, so there's no, is there anyone on Zoom?
There is.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
It's Brian Kelly again.
okay,
Oh, excuse me.
Hey, Brian, you're allowed to talk now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. I'd like to comment on the proposal we heard from the developer's engineer regarding the proposed apartments on Mount Hope Road to send their private stormwater into the enlarged public road detention basin. That did answer the question I had regarding why this 30-year-old public easement topic was coming up now. The developer wants to dump their stormwater there. Apparently that's why there is also a tight deadline. A problem with those detention easement basins is they send those detention basins is they send their stormwater into the Bayer Creek. The water's not filtered. Infiltration basins are much better for the water quality of our creeks and bay because the stormwater must permeate into the soil, and the soil is a great filter. The Acme Stormwater Ordinance is the former county stormwater ordinance, and it requires infiltration basins wherever feasible. The specific language is, quote, infiltration systems will be required at all sites with soil permeability greater than 1 inch per hour, unquote. So if the soils allow infiltration, then the detention basins would not comply with the township stormwater ordinance. It would also be contrary to the master plan provisions that prioritize protecting water quality. The county soils map, I looked it up during the meeting, shows that the parcel in question is Emmett Sandy Loam and Richter Loams. Those soils are likely suitable for infiltration basins. The township probably hasn't realized that this scheme may violate the ordinance. This seems like it might be exactly the sort of compromise that expedites development at the expense of protecting our water quality. One of the unique things we have up here is the water quality of our streams and bay. You know, I always say, if you want downstate water quality, then you make downstate water quality compromises. Allowing the use of these county road easements for private stormwater would set a precedent. How could you say no to other requests, especially on Mount Hope? By allowing this, it would increase the need for future drainage district where it otherwise might not be needed. And that would be bad for water quality because that water is not going to be filtered. I don't think that would be consistent with public safety, health, and welfare when we have better alternatives. And it would also seem to put you into the private stormwater business. So I thank you for your consideration on those points.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kelly. There being no other public comment, I will close public comment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Lehman, support by Gilman to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.